Hello and welcome to Trading Growth and Value Stocks. My name is James Boyd and there is the bell. Speaking of bell, there won't be a bell tomorrow for the stock market. It is closed in observance of Jimmy Carter passing. So we send the condolences to their family, and tomorrow the stock market is closed. As I mentioned earlier before, the currency spot markets will be open. If you want to know some details about maybe other type of products, I can share those with you in just a moment here. Also want to welcome, we have in the chat, Connie Hill, we welcome her. And also we have Kevin, R. Shafi, Bill, hello Bill, Scott, Truth will always prevail. And we also have Birthday Girl. And that birthday girl is Eva, turning 39 here today. So we welcome her and happy birthday. Okay, just real quick as we get started, remember the information here is provided for general informational purposes only. Also, Schwab does not recommend the use of technical analysis as a sole means of research. This class, we like to look at fundamentals as kind of the base, and then the technical analysis above that. Okay, so we want to make sure if we're looking to buy companies that we have an idea of what they do, how effective are they being, how do they stand against their peers, and might that trend continue? Now, also, we will do paper money examples, and that will be done in the software application of the thinkorswim platform. Also, remember that all investing involves risk, including loss of principal, and also past performance is no guarantee of future results. Trends can change. Now, as we get started here today, what I want to do is I want to talk about a couple stocks that kind of has stood out to me today. And we'll talk about whether these stocks are kind of like value examples or maybe income examples and or growth. Now, with that, I want to kind of start off with just real quick income for just a second, okay? So normally when we talk about income, we're probably thinking about one main area specifically, probably staple stocks, consumer staples, right? Maybe a second area, you might think, let's say, real estate. Maybe a third area might be, let's say, utilities. Those would probably be the three main areas that you're probably thinking. Now, there are other areas, but those are probably the three main ones. Want to kind of show you something just real quick that kind of stood out to me a little bit just a couple moments ago. Now, some of you know that, for example, some of these companies, they've paid dividends for 25 plus years, okay? And one thing I kind of think is interesting, and when we look at the thinkorswim platform, right on the Market Watch tab, and if we go to quotes, and you're going to look at, let's say, the 25-year dividend. Now, how do we get to that, okay? So click on the drop down, and we're going to go right into where we say public. And what you're going to notice is a couple different public lists that just are there for all of us to have. But if I go up to that top one right there, public percent to E, you're going to notice if you like dividend trading stocks, well, there it is, okay? If you like stocks that, for example, if you're an income investor, that's a focus of yours, 50-year dividend. And also a class tomorrow that will cover 24-hour trading. Okay, interesting. So those are just public lists right there. Now, the reason why I bring this up right off the bat is if you look at, let's say, kind of some of these income stocks, wow, it's a lot of red, okay? Now, you could take this as two sides. It's horrible. The other thing you could actually kind of look at as the price goes down, what could be going up? Well, that's the yield. Well, the higher the yield is potentially, given that the company's fundamentals haven't changed, some investors might kind of take that as an opportunity. So I just wanted to kind of show you that. When you look at this 25-year-old dividend list, many of those stocks have sold off pretty aggressively. And let's kind of start off with just this area for just a moment, okay? So if we look at, let's say, staples, and I'm going to use the ticker IXR. And what you're going to notice is the price has been going down pretty steadily, okay? Now, our examples here today are not coming from the staples, but I just want you to notice that because some of you have expressed some interest in, let's say, income stocks. I will bring those up kind of when I think they're kind of maybe more at that spot. We're not ready to kind of plant the flag in the sand here and say, man, time for income stocks, because many of them are not really showing kind of the strength that we want to see technically, okay? Now, they're getting kind of near this longer term area, so I will mention those when we kind of see more of a setup. I'm not dodging your question. I just haven't seen the setup yet, and time is precious, okay? So keep an eye on those. And when we kind of see more of a bounce in those areas, we're going to come right back. So stay tuned for that. Now, I do want to kind of speak about another area that's been a little softer. And I do want to bring this up, okay? Now, healthcare. Now, we have an incoming new presidency. And what you're going to notice is healthcare has been pushed down quite a bit. Now, with the world of investing is we're trying to find investments that we could hold for a certain period of time, get a return, and maybe also get let's say, dividends, okay? Now, what you're going to notice when you look at healthcare and energy, there's been a lot of fear as far as what a new administration might do. And what you're going to notice is as we kind of come into this new administration, that's not political, that's just a fact. What you're going to notice is, could some of that fear be overblown? Okay. Now, or could some of that fear not be, in other words, not as bad as what was feared, in other words. Okay. Now, I want to kind of talk about, now, if I said to you healthcare, what type of stocks do you think when you think about healthcare? What type of stocks? Well, I think if we kind of thought about a couple of stocks that you think about healthcare, maybe Cigna, right? If you typed in a couple of these, Cigna, okay? Ticker symbol CI, that's the trend of that. That doesn't look too strong. What about a company called UNH, which that has been, pushed down, had that event happen, which was horrible, okay? And you're going to see the stock fell down pretty aggressively. And what you're going to notice is now we're coming right into the earnings, okay? And another company you might think is J&J. You look at J&J, that has not been nice, okay? And that has gone down, and it made a fresh new low here today. Now, probably the stunner, okay, that we talked about, last Friday, was GEHC. Now, that's GE Healthcare, okay? And I want to go back to, so that's GE Healthcare, yes. And I think there's another GE that we talked about as of last Friday, but that one has actually turned up quite a bit. The other one I want to bring up just real quick is CAH. What is that one? That's Cardinal Health. Now, a lot of times when you're looking at companies, I want to kind of bring this up right on the Schwab website, okay? So let me go to the Schwab website, and let's kind of talk about a page that we like to really look at when we're kind of comparing stocks, okay? So first thing what I want to do is when I pull this up, I'm on the schwab.com website. And the one thing what I want to do is first off, as you're learning something, these are the classes. The classes are supported by the online courses. When you log into the schwab.com website, you can go right to where it says learn. Makes sense. I'm trying to learn something, right? Courses. And then here we are with Schwab Coaching. Okay. So these are webcasts. And if we actually go to where it says courses, what you're going to notice is just like what you think, it's like course like in college. Okay. Or after college. Now, what you're going to notice is if I go to learn and then courses, right at the very top, simple steps for retirement portfolio. Okay. And the next one right down below that is stock investing with fundamental analysis. Now, here's the deal. If I click on this, and it says the course duration, if you took it, the average person probably takes 3 hours, okay, to go through it. If I click on that, which I'm going to, you're going to see it kind of breaks down certain lessons that are pivotal in understanding the material of what we talk about, okay? Now, so number one, note that. If you have not gone through that, that would be a great place to go. Just go to learn and then courses, right on the schwab.com website. Second course down, that's the fundamentals. Now, this kind of begs the question, okay? If you were to ask most people, how are you going to retire? You might hear a whole bunch of crickets, okay? So this is something you don't want to be, let's say, a lightweight in. You want to say, look, I know how I'm going to retire. I know what my expectation, my kind of expectations are and what my plan is, and maybe some variables that might go wrong that I'm going to need to kind of continually check on. Other things down here, you're going to see stocks trade with technical analysis. You're going to see we have the course of income investing. Make sure that if we have this, that you reach out and grab it. As a Schwab client, you have access to that, okay? Now, what I want to do is I want to bring up that stock for just a moment. I want to type in CAH. The top right, little blank box there. Let's type in CAH, which is Cardinal Health. Now, when I type that in, I get to this page. And what you're now going to notice is Cardinal Health, okay? Our goal when we're talking about investments is not just to talk about them. we're trying to evaluate is there a base case that the company is growing. Okay, let's click on that. Let's talk about that. And also, I want to kind of see what's expected in the future. Okay, and also, how does it compare maybe to its neighbors or peers in the group? Now, if I scroll this down, what you're now going to see is got a chart, different types of chart lengths. Scroll down, news, okay? And now what we're going to see is dividends. So it does pay a dividend. The dividend, about 50 cents a quarter, okay? And what you're going to see is the annual dividend yield of 1.67. That's not the purpose of us really looking at this, but that's kind of maybe a little icing on top. And if I scroll down, you're going to see expected earnings, okay? Now, this is very important. A lot of people talk about PE, like what has it done? What's the price relative to its last 4 quarters of earnings? That kind of tells you where it is now, but we kind of want to know also what's the expectation going forward, okay? That's very important, especially when we look at like what's called forward PE. So what you're going to see is it's pretty consistent over time as far as what the forward expectation is. And then this is where we could see the historical track record. Dark blue is the estimate, lighter blue, the actual number, okay? So estimate, actual. You like it when companies kind of maybe even beat the estimate by quite a bit, and they're not doing what's called the management of earnings, okay? And so that's been pretty positive. So the forward PE of this company, so what it's doing is looking at the current stock price divided by its next 4 quarters of earnings. And that forward PE is only 15.49. Pretty low. And I'm going to show you some differences here in just a second. Now, if we scroll down a little bit, it's also going to show us the peers and ratio comparison. Now, this is like if you were looking at real estate and said, geez, I like to move into this neighborhood. These are the 5 homes or comps that we can see in this neighborhood or zip code, okay? Kind of comparing it. Now, what you're now going to notice is if I go down to the very bottom, you'll see where it says show more, and also some tabs up at the top as well, so you can see that. If we want to kind of see this and also customize this to ourselves, which is what I want to do, I clicked on show more. Now, I'll be honest, I don't want to see CNC. I want to really see this compared to UNH. So we can take that stock out and just type in the one we want to compare it to. So I'm interested in kind of seeing Cardinal Health compared to the UNH, okay, United Healthcare Group. Now, if we scroll down, we can now see there's the CAH to the UNH, okay? If I scroll down, we want to kind of look at the fundamentals, right? Now, if you look at the net profit margin, UNH has been quite strong, okay? We look at the return on assets, return on equity, quite strong. Now, if you scroll down a little bit, earnings per share. Now, that can kind of vary a little bit depending upon how many shares they have. And if you look at the price to earnings, okay, again, looking at the price relative to the last 4 quarters, which one's more expensive right now? It's UNH. That's even with the drop, okay? And the price forecasted earnings, we see that it's, 15, as I mentioned, and 18 for UNH. So both of them not very expensive, okay, in the teens. Now, what I want to do is if I scroll down a little bit, and if I take a look at, let's say, kind of going forward, what is the expectation? Well, that's where we want to look at sales, okay? So if we look at out 1 year in time, what's the expectation, okay? And I want to actually go down to the sales, the EPS growth, excuse me. If we look at the earnings per share's growth, okay, and these are trailing, okay, trailing. I want to really go down to the forecast. So remember, past is fine, but that's already been factored in. What is the forecast? Cardinal Health, 4. Forecast, 9. For the 3 to 5 year, 10 to 11. So UNH is a little bit more expensive right now, but if you actually take a look at kind of going forward, UNH still kind of seems pretty strong, okay? Now, it's had kind of some bad events happen with it and very serious, but you're going to see that the price has reacted accordingly. When you look at the payout ratio, of their earnings per share, how much are they paying out? Ardent Health is paying out about a third of the pie, okay? The pie being earnings per share. And if you look at UNH, about half of the money that they earn, okay, make or take home, 51%, is going out in the form of a dividend. So they're sharing a lot of those earnings with the investors, okay? Now, what I want to do is I want to go look to, for example, do 2 sample trades on this, okay? Now, the one thing we got to understand is they have earnings upcoming, okay? And we can see that. From a technical standpoint, we look at this chart, we kind of see this that's the line that we see, kind of like a line of resistance. Now, got earnings coming up, okay? Now, here's kind of what's interesting about healthcare in general. Whether the economy goes up, goes sideways, or go down, healthcare is about as important as water, okay? If you look at kind of the stat of people that maybe financially are under pressure, a lot of it comes from maybe not having healthcare and the medical costs. Healthcare, kind of an important thing, okay? Now, even if you feel like you're in good health, sometimes things can change. Now, longer term, we actually kind of had some little areas of support right around 560. Maybe the idea, sometimes when we get bad news, it can get oversold, and maybe the price might try to go back up to where the breakdown happened. Now, what I'm going to do, but with a smaller position, normally in this account, we might take maybe, I don't know, $5,000 to $8,000. I'm going to take about $5,000, the lower end of the capital. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to buy shares of stock. How do you do that? Okay. Well, we're on the charts tab, and we're just simply going to right-click on the chart. When we right-click on the chart, what we're going to now do is just go down to where it says Buy Custom and with OCO Bracket. Okay? Now, when I do this with OCO Bracket, it's going to bring up 3 lines. And those 3 lines are the first one in green that we're buying. The second row is that we're selling at a potentially higher price or trying to. And the third row is if the price were going to go down. Okay? Now, notice right here, this is going to tell us the number of shares. We're just going to click on, I call them the pool balls. Okay, click on that, percent, click on the percent, go to dollar amount. So now we can specify, well, how much capital do you want to invest? We're going to say that we're going to put a $5,000 capital in to buy the shares of UNH. Right above that dollar sign, there's a little red icon. If you click on that, it's going to snap the other rows to how many shares it would be given a $5,000 investment. So it's about 10 shares, 9.5 to be exact. Now, in this case, most of the time, we're not going to be buying a half share. So we'll probably be doing 9 shares of stock. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to put a target. This is called trading growth in value and income. And if we go back to this, we're going to put a target right about maybe 555, okay? We're not going to try to put it right at the perfect spot because wonder if it comes up short of that. Resistance, support, and area, right? We're going to the limit day to GTC and then day to GTC. So make no mistake about this. We're trying to find companies that might have been sold off unfairly, or maybe that, let's say, things did happen. The company takes corrective action and changes it. The business didn't necessarily change, but there was news that hit the price. Okay? Now, we also, so this is kind of like something that had bad news and it is trying to snap back. It kind of reminds me of CrowdStrike. Okay, if you remember that one. CRWD. Now, what I'm going to do for the stop, I'm going to set the stop underneath this recent area. If I said the most recent area of support is about 506, less maybe 2% or so, well, about 496. Okay? Now, here's the deal. Why would an income investor want to know about value and growth? Well, sometimes your income trades, whether that's coming from fixed income or it's trying to come through stocks that pay a dividend, sometimes you technically see opportunities to try to take advantage of trends. That's really what it comes down to. you're trying to use growth and value as a way to maybe complement maybe it's income, whether it's dividend through stocks, or maybe you like to do fixed income, T-bills, bonds, whatever they are, okay? So you're trying to kind of have a more wider strategic approach versus only one approach, and maybe you have more money that you could actually put to work and try to kind of enhance returns, okay? Now, whenever you talk about returns, there's risk, okay? So now what I'm going to do is I got that, I'm going to go back to, what's that number? 496.37. 496.37, okay? Trade number one here that I'm going to bring up is buying in the IRA account. Now, by the way, many of you maybe not realize this, but this is not a one-off class. We have this class on a weekly basis. We ask you in the paper money account to follow along with the trades, so that way when you come to our classes, you get a sense of how these trades and or investments work. They are not recommendations, but that way you get a sense of how to ride the trends, adjust the stops, position size, and the way that you really learn things the best is that you drive, okay? And that's what we're asking you to do. Go in the paper money account, PM for paper money, and just practice. And that way you really find out for yourself, is it something you would consider for yourself, okay? Now, you should also read the red lines to say, okay, do you understand that? Are you okay with that? If you are, we will send that order, and there it is, and I'll fix that. Now, I want to go back to one other thing that I think is kind of important, okay? If we go up to the very tippy top where it says Edit Studies, okay? And I want to go to Studies for just a moment. Let's go to Quick Study. And what I want to do is, if I go to Studies, Quick Study, and if I go down, I'm going to compare with, but I want to compare it to, let's say, a custom symbol. What do I want to compare it to? Well, what I want to compare it to is, I'm going to compare it to the sector, okay? Now, I'm using IXV. Feel free to use something else for yourself that you like for healthcare. Now, if you take a look at this, what you're now going to notice is, and I'm going to have to kind of show it another way. Let me kind of bring it up. Line. Let me actually have it do a candle and try to do that. Yeah, for some reason that's not showing. There it is. But what I want to really do on this is I want to kind of really see, and that's not showing, so I'm going to have to show it a different way. Sometimes on this, it's a paper money demo account, and actually it might be better. Let me just try it just real quick. Let's go CAH for just a second. Studies, quick study, chart with, symbol, and I'm going to go IXV. Okay? Yeah, there you go. Okay? It's funny how that does that. What I'm trying to really see is the purple line. That's the sector. The candle chart, that's Cardinal Health. Now, what do you notice? Now, for a while, one went up. If the sector went up, Cardinal Health went up, okay? But lately, what you're really going to notice is here is you see that the purple line has actually gone down, and you're going to see that Cardinal Health has really stayed up a little stronger. So is that a good or a bad sign? It's a good sign. Cardinal Health is bucking the trend. Why is that? Well, they might actually think that Cardinal Health might be one of the stronger stocks in the neighborhood. Now, if you bring up UNH, represented in the candle chart, what you're going to notice is this has kind of more been similar to the purple line, which has really been acting, which has been similar. The purple line, which is the sector, and the candle chart, which is UNH, it's been very similar to each other. Boo. Okay? So if you buy UNH, you're thinking that maybe some of that selling pressure might be a little overdone, that it could bounce back. But by the way, if you also buy UNH represents a chunk of that sector. Okay? So it's very important to kind of understand the correlation of the stock relative to the group. Okay? And there's two ways you could see this. Go to studies and just go to quick study and then go to compare with and just type in the symbol. Okay? So that's one way you could do it. Now, I want to also, so trade number one we actually talked about was UNH. I do, though, now, by the way, this is always the question. How do you take it off? Well, right click on that line and just remove the study. Okay, so that's not too bad. Right click on the line, remove it. Okay, now let's go back to CAH just for a second. CAH has been quite strong. And if you look at this, we kind of had a little floor there and we got a little double top there. We could say that we're kind of in the middle of the channel. Fair? Longer term, when you look at, let's say, a 3-year weekly, this is what the trend looks like. You could also say that when you take a look at this chart, you had a prior high, falling back down, run up, down. That looks like a double bottom to me. Pull back, a little basing there, run back up, pull back. Old test of where it broke out from. See that? And kind of a little check back. We are on the 3-year weekly chart. Okay? Now, here's the deal. We're going to take also the CH. If we said which one has stronger relative strength, it's not even a comparison. Okay? CH stronger than UNH, CH stronger than the sector. Make no mistake about it. We're trying to find the 2 to 3 stocks in each one of the sectors, if we try to get each sector, that is stronger fundamentally and technically. The end. Thanks for coming. Okay, well, that's really what we do in each one of our classes. We're trying to find what are some of those stocks that might run stronger compared to the other stocks and or the sector. Now, I want to come to energy in just a second, okay? But before we do that, I want to go back to the CAH. And what we're going to do is we're going to right-click on the chart. No, wait, are we doing an option or something like that? No, okay? These are stock trades. Now, what I'm going to do on this is I'm going to go back to CH. We could do it one other way as well. If we wanted to do a trade, we could just go right to the trade tab. It's unbelievable, right? When you think about it, okay? Want to do a trade, go to the trade tab. Now, another way we could do it is once we bring this up, we got the underlying. Underlying is another way to say stock, okay? The underlying stock. And I'm going to right-click on the ask price, go right to where it says buy custom. And what I'm going to do in this case, for this example, you might not say, James, I don't like to set a target for everything, okay? I might want to just try to get in and just try to ride the trend. Makes sense, okay? Now, buy custom with stop. And so, in other words, your stop really becomes the exit. Now, what you're going to now notice is the last price at 4 p.m. Eastern today, 122.53. Going to type it in, 122.53. There it is. Why are you not taking the ask price? Well, when the market is closed, the bid-ask spread tends to widen out, okay? And we don't see that volume moving. So if we said, hey, we're going to trade this stock in the after hours, we don't see a lot of volume. And if there's not volume, the bid-ask spread widens out, telling investors you're not in a liquid market right now. Okay? Now, so we're going to take the closing price, 122.53, and that's a limit order. What does a limit sound like to you? If you were at your limit, that means you're probably not going to go much farther, right? Same thing here. We're saying, look, buy those shares of stock. Let's go back to the position sizing and then click on the pool balls. Click on the percent. Now I'm going to go back to that maybe about $5,000 figure. It's going to be about 40 shares of stock. Now, so we're going to say, look, tomorrow. Now here's the problem. Stock market tomorrow is closed. So I'm going to change this to GTC. So this order should be pushing into Friday, okay? And we can even put kind of a cancel order if it cannot fill, but we'll leave it to GTC. We're then going to take the stop. Stop is usually we identify the support over maybe the last 1, 2, 3 weeks. We identified the support. That support area, maybe one of them, is about 118. If we take 118 less maybe 2 to 3%, less 2% in this case, 115.64. Now, if you take a look at this, we're going to go back to this and just type in, what's the number? 115.64. Type it in right here. Okay. Second stock trader that we're doing, we bought UNH, trying to get a little snapback rally going into the earnings on UNH. Why? Healthcare looking a little stronger, a little bit. Okay. Second, we actually we looked at CAH, a little stronger in the space anyway. Okay. Now, what you're going to now notice is data GTC. And that's all I'm going to do is change it. Now, you might be kind of wondering, well, how did you find that? Isn't that the question? How did you find CAH? Well, it wouldn't be too hard. Let me show you real quick. We're going to do it in 60 seconds, okay? If I confirm and send, read this order out loud. Why do I need to read it out loud? Just to verify, is this something you would consider? Read what's in red, confirm that. If that's okay, we're going to go ahead and send the order. Now, what I'm going to do in this case is I'll fix that. I'm going to go back to, for example, so how did you find this? Well, what I'm going to do is go to scan. When you go to scan, it gives us kind of two rows, okay? So if you have, let's say, an area that you're trying to focus in to find maybe relative strength, fundamentals, technicals, all the above, we're just going to go to scan, and it defaults to what's called the stock hacker. You can think of it as a stock search. Gives two rows, mark, think of it as a stock price, and volume, okay? This is not average volume. This is volume at this point in time, okay? Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to scan in, and I'm going to leave it the S&P 500. And you're going to see that it's defaulted to the public list of the S&P 500. So we're looking at about 500 stocks. If I say intersect with, well, now this is where we could say by industry. And if I wanted to kind of target just real quick healthcare, the sector itself and or any of the industry groups in there, nail it even more, I could. I'm going to say select all healthcare. How many stocks are in that space? I don't know. I'm going to guess 22. Okay. Oh, a lot more. 47. Okay. Now, if you take a look at this, we can now take this and save it. How do you save it? Well, right below the scan, there's 3 lines. Click on the 3 lines, go to save as a watch list. If I save as a watch list, where's it going to go? Well, the market watch is where you watch the market. It could be your portfolio, if you put it in a watch list, or these might be your watch list, okay? So let's click the 3 lines, save as a watch list. Now, if we do that, just real quick, we're just going to call this health care, okay? Healthcare, there it is, save it. Now, when we go back to our market watch, quotes, okay? Now, all of a sudden, what I'm going to do is when I pull this up, you're now going to see if I go to market watch, click on that little drop down right there and go to personal. Now, when I go to personal, what you're now going to see in this case is it should be showing us in that list really the healthcare, okay? And that's all we really did in that case is went to that list. There's healthcare right there, okay? So now, how did you find that that was one of the stronger stocks? Answer. Well, one of the ways we kind of look at that is we look at the performance of these stocks over, let's say, the last 1 week or the last 1 month. And if you see that, hey, there's a couple stocks that on a 1 week or a 1 month basis, they've actually had positive returns compared to many others that maybe have, let's say, negative returns. Well, then just go look at the ones at the top. The ones at the top are the ones that are really showing the relative strength. Okay? I mean, let's not make it complicated. Okay? Now, comment came in from, before we look at our other one, just real quick, PG, any potential bounce back? Let's take a look. Okay? Now, when I bring up PG for just a second, and we actually said, hey, is this maybe starting to show any bounce back? Let me bring up that chart for just a second. Okay. Sorry. Let me just bring that back up. Okay, there we go. Now, if we kind of said, is it bouncing back up? Is it in an area that it can bounce back up? Yeah. Is it showing any signs that it's bouncing back up so far yet? Yes or no? Well, we're down at the horizontal level, right? So let me kind of ask you, let's kind of do a comparison, okay? This yellow line was like the longer term horizontal support. How do we kind of start to see that the trend was kind of going from down to up? Well, you got to get the moving averages to change color, okay? You got to get the moving average to start crossing. Does it look, if we kind of compare observation number 1 to observation number 2, Does it look the same? And the quick and easy answer is we're in the area of support. We are not seeing any color change on the moving average yet. No. Okay, on both moving average lines. Are we seeing any moving average cross? No. Do you always like to say no? No. Okay, so the answer is no. Okay, it's not yet. Could you continue to watch this and start to see if it does that? Yes. Okay, so I don't always say no. But so far on that, PG, not showing that bounce yet. Now, if you said, could you share that chart with us so we can have it? Let me send it to you. Okay. Now, the link that I sent to you, if you go up to the very tippy top, set up, open shared item. So that's not too bad. Set up, open shared item. And all I'm going to do is just copy and paste in there. Okay. Now, I want to go to a couple other stocks. We've got 10 minutes, so we're going to really hit it hard. Okay. So make sure you put that in there. So we went to setup, open shared item, copy and paste in what I sent to you in the chat. Okay. Now, Eva says a major point. This is when we start considering value on PG. True. Okay. No different as when the dividend yields on many of these stocks get pretty high. That's also probably a sign of maybe that we're at some longer term potential support areas, but we do need to monitor how the company is doing financially. Okay. What are the revenues like? What are the earnings like? Are they continuing to hold? Okay. Now, I'm going to go ahead and actually bring up a couple stocks. One of them is CVX. Okay. That's a stock that, for example, let's kind of talk about this. Maybe is it kind of starting to show that bottom? Well, since we just brought up the example of PG, what you're going to notice there is that's kind of had a little move itself. Moving average line went green, crossed a day later, about 3 days later, crossed. Now, that's an example of one that's been pretty bullish and starting to outpace what the sector is doing and the ExxonMobil. It's one of its competitors. Okay. So if I had a little bit more time, that would be an interesting kind of setup on Chevron. Now, if I also went to another stock in that space that's kind of showing a little bullish trend that is also natural gas-ish, okay, is WMB. When you look at WMB and you compare it to many other natural gas stocks or energy sector, it's one of the stronger ones. How do we see that again? Go back to studies, go to quick study, and just bring up, let's say, compare with, go right to custom symbol. Okay, now let's pull it up, IXE. And if you pull this up, the purple line, sector, and the candle line, that's the WMB. So for a while there, WMB fell as well. But what you're now going to notice is it just never went down really as far. And there's been some differences here. If I change this chart from WMB to Chevron, look at the correlation. Okay, now this is kind of something I'm kind of a nerd about. Okay, I like correlation. And you're going to notice that if the energy sector goes down, one of the stocks that has a high degree of correlation, meaning the chart is right on top of each other. Okay, the purple line, the sector, candle chart, Chevron. And if the sector goes down, high degree of correlation that Chevron goes down. Energy sector goes up, high degree of correlation that Chevron goes up. Now, that could be a class by itself, but you should be watching that. If certain sectors go up, what sectors actually have a historical correlation and what are their correlations now? Now, the other one I do want to paper trade, okay, is Starbucks, okay? Now, how do you get this line off again? Right click on that purple line and just simply say remove, okay? Now, we got Starbucks, okay? Now, if you look at Starbucks, what you're now going to notice on Starbucks is we fell down really quite aggressively, to say the least. Now, in a more volatile marketplace, okay, at least what we've seen so far for 2025, which for early January, given that some people like to sell in the early part of the year to maybe try to avoid paying, at least immediately, you know what I'm probably referring to. And this is not unusual, okay? If we went back and look at this, Starbucks really fell down through one level of what should have been support, wasn't, what should have been the second level of support, which wasn't, and what you're now going to see as snap back to the upside. Now, in a more volatile market, it might make sense not to put all the capital in one basket, meaning every entry that we take might not be the full allotment of capital. So let's imagine you have $5 million. And you actually said, man, I'm going to go out there and just buy $5 million of houses. Buy them all at once. Well, wonder if the market tanks. Then you put all of your investment in at one point in time. You better hope it goes right? So the moral of the story is maybe let's invest it a little bit over time. And if the trend goes up in our favor, let's try to put some more capital to work. So now, why do I bring this up? Well, if you go to the Analyze tab, and if you go back to fundamentals for just a moment, okay? One of the stocks that actually has done quite strong by the numbers, okay? Analyze, Starbucks. Scroll down. Now, another way you can see the numbers different and see the share values like earnings, dividends, book, and cash flow, profitability, okay, financials, etc. Some of the things I want us to see is if you look at earnings per share, this is annual, they do have quarterly, and you're going to see that it's kind of marched up the hill, softer in 22, bounced back in 23, and you're going to see decent in 24. Now, when you look at also free cash flow, what do they have left over that they might do some investing activity with or just pad the balance sheet? They've still been pretty positive, okay? Sales per share have also gone up. So sometimes when the prices go down, does that necessarily mean that the average consumer just stops drinking coffee? Well, maybe not, okay? Now, what I'm going to do is just speak to this real quick. We're going to right-click. We're going to buy custom with OCO bracket, okay? Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to put this target right about 98.50. Why not 99? Well, I wonder if it doesn't go there. We're trying to get out a little early just in case. Now, Bill might set that target in his paper money account at 99 perfectly, but we're going to try to get out ahead of maybe other people that might be thinking 99. Now, what we're going to do is we're going to set a stop underneath this most recent higher low, about 90.60. If I take 90.60 less 2%, okay, it's going to give us 88.78. Now, remember what I said before. We're not going to put all the capital in at once. So if we normally get in, let's say $5,000 in a position, we're not going to do that. I'm only going to do half. Now, here's the $1 million question. Okay, when might the investor add more? What would you want to see on this chart to say, hey, the trend is starting to work more in my favor? What would you want to see? Well, I think many technicians would say, well, James, I'd like to see it actually kind of get above this line right here. If we get above that 93, 98, I want to add, if we have a $5,000 capital size, and our first capital, half of it, is right here. And I'll just put one. If we get above the 93, 98, 93, 94, excuse me, 93, 98, I'm going to add to the position. So it's almost like we're dating the stock. We're saying, look, if you'll go up in the intended direction, we'll show more capital. We'll invest more if you go up in the right direction. But if you don't, and you fall back down, it's just a smaller position size. I think in this current market, it could make sense to make the position size smaller and try to get in, try to spread the capital out as the market is kind of gyrating. I think that makes sense. Consider it for yourself, okay? Now, what I want to do in closing here is change this dated GTC. Now, quick reminder that with what we talked about, okay, target, stop, we'll go confirm and send. Now, remember that this class is not a one-off. If you said, James, myself, I am trying to find, let's say, examples. I'm trying to learn about technical analysis, fundamental analysis. Some of the things you talked about in terms of correlation today interest me. Talk about them as much as we can, okay? And also remember that you can follow us right on the YouTube page, which is this link right here, okay? Now, one of the things that's probably underestimated is you can find a lot of other like-minded investors like yourself that attend these classes, and you meet up online. That's kind of what we're doing now. Now, you're also going to want to be reminded of these webcasts that we actually have, which are right on this page. And what you're going to now notice is we can see the schedule right there. And let me send this last page, the live events. Being a part of, let's say, Schwab, being a client at Schwab, you have access to also going to the live events. And this live event page is also scheduled for the whole entire year. Check that page that I sent to you as well. Now, I want to say thanks to you and also Connie as well. And also make sure that you go over these references. You have said, James, I haven't seen that online course yet. I haven't done those other courses. That's what I want you to do for homework as you expand your education. I'm out of my time here today. This will be our last class tomorrow for the day. Tomorrow we'll kick off futures early and bright, and that will be done at 9:30 a.m. Eastern. Now, remember, with what we talked about, it's done for example, illustrative purposes only. This has been the class on trading growth and value stocks. We will include income. Just want to see those turn a little bit more, okay? So thank you so much for attending today's session. And remember, this is not a one-off. Join us next week as we talk about trading, growth, and value. With that said, have a great day. We'll see you back tomorrow morning for trading futures. Market is closed, but we will have webcasts. Take care. Bye-bye.